I always was allergic to this place. And still am. It happens to my mucous membranes. Well, I'll say it is rather surreal to be standing here. A whole realm of feelings going on here. I kind of feel like I raised a child for 12 years and left for 4 and then came back to check it out. I suppose I should say something. So I thought I would talk a little bit about the 5 unity principles. Has anybody ever heard of those? Because the unity principles for me are one of the biggest gifts that I got out of being involved in this community for 12 years. And for me, they're not just words. They're nice words. In fact, I really like the fact that all the words we came up with, you're still saying. That oasis of peace, love, abundance, and joy, that was mine. That's good, isn't it? They're not just ways to explain the mysteries of life. They're certainly not just words to believe in when things are easy or expedient and convenient. For me, they form the foundation of a way of life that can actually allow us to have more peace, love, and joy in our life, a way of life that can reduce fear from our life. Anybody interested in that? Not all fear. It probably wouldn't be good if we removed all fear from our life. In fact, the other day I was hiking on Taylor Creek with my wife and daughter. And we got to where we were going, and my daughter, Ari, wasn't feeling very well, so I decided to trot back to the car and come pick them up. So I'm trotting through the woods, and I come through this dense bush area on both sides, and I almost ran directly into a huge bear. I was afraid. And the first thought I had, weirdly enough, was I had this vivid picture. Do you remember like cartoons when a bear would look at you and see a plate of steaming lamb chops or something? So I looked deep into this bear's eyes because they were only about 8 feet away from me. And it was big. We were looking eye to eye. And it didn't seem like it was looking at me as if I were a plate of lamb chops. It was just kind of saying, I am not really thrilled with you being there, and I don't plan on getting out of the way. And it actually took a step toward me. And so I remembered you're not supposed to run away, and I said, the heck with that. So I know the fear gave me this kind of vivid clarity, and it also made me run really fast. So it was good. It was really good that I was afraid in that moment. But I'm not talking about that kind of fear. I am talking about the false evidence appearing real kind of fear. Are you with me here? You've heard that acronym? You know, like the worries that we have about things that never happen. The doubts and anxieties we have about whether we're good enough or whether we deserve enough. The tendency we might have from maybe watching the news too much that the sky is falling. Those are the kind of fears that for me, you've heard of people who have had near-death experiences that transform their lives. Well, I think these fears have us living a near-life experience. So the good news is that unity principles are based on love and wholeness. And when we embrace those principles and when we actually choose based on those principles, there's not as much room for fear. I think it was Marianne Williamson who said that fear and love cannot coexist. So if we focus on love, if we fill ourselves with love, then there's no room for fear because they can't coexist. I don't think she made that up because it says in the Bible somewhere that perfect love casts out fear. Not a new idea. Okay? So for those of you who don't know the unity principles, I will give you the Stu version, all right? The first two are the biggies. Okay? They are that God is everywhere present, and God is all love, all good, all power. And the second one is, you and I are that. We could just stop right there. If we embrace that, if we embody that, if we remember that in more of our moments, what would there be to be scared about? If we really embraced, if we really remembered that, some of you are going to remember this kind of stuff, but the fact that you have the same intelligence in you that created the universe and maintains the universe in an incomprehensible state of harmony and balance. You and me, we are that. And again, if we remember that, would we complain about our bodies a little less? Would we worry about illness and stuff a little less? Just say yes, humor me. And so, have you had an experience of that? Do you believe that? And who cares if you believe it? Do you act on that? Do you live as if that were true? I mean, I am glowing and floating on air from all the wonderful hiking we've done this summer. And hopefully you've gotten out there, because it's been a lot of water, and therefore a lot of flowers and a lot of bugs. A lot of everything. It's an abundance out there, and it's magnificent, and it's beautiful, and the flowers, the diversity, the creativity, the amazingness of all of it. And when I'm out there walking in that, I don't generally have a lot of fear. In fact, I don't have a lot of thoughts. And those two facts are related. But I remember a couple of weeks ago being in this incredible hillside full of flowers, and I'm looking at that, and the thought came, all of this beauty, all of this majesty, all of this glory, all of this creativity, all of this abundance is in me. It is me. I am that. So again, we could stop right there. Like I said, those are the biggies, but let's go on. So, principle 3 essentially is that we bring numbers 1 and 2 into expression through our consciousness, and therefore our entire experience of reality is happening through our consciousness. So if we're not experiencing love and power and glory and abundance, it's not because it isn't there. It's because we're not there. Now we're somewhere else in our consciousness, and I'm getting excited. This is good. Number 4 is, according to Unity, the best ways to raise consciousness, to choose heaven every day is through prayer and meditation. We've covered that today. You're in good shape. Okay, I might add to that list, I think being out in nature is really good too. Okay, whatever it is that allows what is already in you to be expressed out here is a good thing. And it's going to raise consciousness, and it's going to change your life and everybody around you. How are we doing? Well, everybody's really good until we get to number 5. The dreaded 5th principle, which says we actually have to do something. Oh my God, really? Coming here isn't enough? No, it's like we have this amazing, beautiful gift, but it's wrapped and we never unwrap it. Oh, isn't that a beautiful gift? Well, it might be better actually if we see what's in there and we let some of it out. That takes a little work. Yes, I don't even like to use that word, but that's what they call it, doing the work. Maybe it would be better if we got paid for it. But is it worth it? Is it worth it? Because if you said no, we could just wrap it up right here. Save time. So again, I ask you to ponder this. If we knew that, if we lived that way, if we acted on those actual beliefs, and we embraced and we embodied our own wholeness, again, I ask you, what would disturb you? What would annoy you? What would irritate you? What would scare you? Say nothing. If you knew you had intelligence within you that was doing 600 octillion things in every 1 second right now as you're sitting here, would that make a difference? If you knew that right now you're taking the crapola you ate for breakfast, no, not all of you, but I saw some of it out there, and that right now it is transforming donut molecules into living, loving eyeballs. Would that make a difference? Three of you said yes, so we can. If we knew this without a shred of doubt, would there be any doubt in our minds that the best is yet to be? Say no. I gotta say that there are definitely scary things in life. There are ominous diagnoses, for instance. Some of the people in our community are going through this right now. By adopting our principles, by remembering our wholeness, by remembering our more than enoughness, does that mean necessarily that circumstances are going to change? Not necessarily. Doing this work doesn't change circumstances. Doing this work gives us hope. Doing this work keeps us focused on possible positive outcomes. Sorry, my allergies going again. Doing this work helps us stay centered and stay grounded and stay connected to our values, to our strengths, to everything that might help. It doesn't necessarily change the circumstances, but it creates a context, the most possible positive context for circumstances to change. And the best news is it keeps us resilient and strong and hopefully a little joyful and a little grateful through the whole process. Is that worth it? Even if the circumstances don't change, everything changes. So when the schmutz is really hitting the fan, this is not the time to abandon the principles. In fact, this is the time to embrace the principles. It is harder then, which means we don't want to wait till then. Oh yeah, I remember those principles. Let's whip them out now. Ain't gonna happen. They need to be a part of our everyday. We need to be practicing these things when it's easier and when it's convenient, but not just when it's easier or convenient. Otherwise, they're kind of useless. All right, I'm out of practice. I have to look at my notes. And all of us have fears, to some degree or another. All of us have fears, rational or not. Most of them are not. Right? Whether it's fear of failure or fear of success. Whether it's fear of rejection or fear of people liking us, or fear of people not liking us, or fear of what others might think about us, or fear of illness, or fear of financial problems, or fear, whatever it is. And what I'm saying is, it's okay. We don't have to hate these fears. We don't have to curse these fears, and we do not have to surgically remove these fears. We simply have to focus on something else. We we don't have to do anything, but it might behoove us to fill ourselves up with what we know is true in our heart, because the fears are mostly guesswork. Oh, it might happen. Let it ruin my life right now. You laugh at that, but don't we all do that? I think it was Mark Twain who said, my life has been full of terrible mishap and misfortune, some of which actually happened. So, who here thinks it's worth it? Who here thinks the fifth principle is the most important one? The most important one. Yeah. So, if you think you might be interested, I am proposing for the next week what I'm calling a wholeness challenge. You're all challenged out, probably, but maybe it's been a while since you were challenged. So I'm going to propose a wholeness challenge. And the whole idea of this, again, is to know our own wholeness a little more so we can be a little less afraid. So we can stop having a near life experience and have a full life experience. Are you with me here? This I have to read because you don't want to miss any of it. Okay. So for the next week, let's stop doing things from a quote. I am flawed, deficient, and lacking, so I need to do X, Y, and Z in order to be okay with myself. This is what I want you to stop doing. Should I repeat it? You want to take notes. We're going to stop doing things from a place of I am flawed, deficient, and lacking, so I have to do 19,000 hours in India in order to be okay with myself. Or whatever it is we think we need to do. Instead, let's approach what we're doing, according to the fifth principle, from a place of I am inspired to grow and evolve because I am already whole and perfect as I am, and I just want to express and experience a little more of that. Doesn't that sound better than I'm awful and therefore I have to do all this work? Yeah, okay, good. I got agreement. Okay. For the next week, let us affirm enoughness and assume that our highest vision for ourselves is unfolding in every single moment. From that place of I am already whole. Okay? And let's maybe take one step per day toward that vision, instead of running away from the things we think are getting in the way. Does that make sense? I'm saving you a lot of steps. Okay. We cannot see our own wholeness from a place of lack. It's impossible. A consciousness of lack, here, listen to this, this is a good one, shoots holes in our wholeness. And who's pulling the trigger, folks? A consciousness of lack allows us to see ugliness where there is naturally and innately only beauty. A consciousness of lack is the main reason we feel fear. And it's an illusion. The only place that lack can possibly exist is between our ears. So, for the next week, let us affirm that life is not a problem to be solved, but a dance to participate in, to celebrate, to enjoy. That doesn't sound so hard. Are you with me there? Let us affirm that we are not a set of issues and problems and flaws, but that we are spirit in an earth suit. That we're here to experience all of that stuff and learn how to shine our light through it all. Isn't that good? Malcolm Forbes, I like this, said too many people overvalue what they are not and undervalue what they are. So what I'm suggesting is you spend this next week making choices based on who and what you are rather than who and what you are not. Maybe we can spend 10 extra minutes a day focused more on who we are and what we are rather than who and what we are not. Is anybody with me here? And for the next week, let's talk to ourselves as if this were true. Okay? Does sound good. Let's talk to ourselves as if we are whole, as if we are enough. And so every time we realize we're talking to ourselves in some other way, has anybody here ever talked to themselves in some other way? Let's just notice it with some gentleness and some compassion for ourselves. Be grateful that we got the awareness that we were talking to ourselves in a way that's not true, and then turn around and affirm what is true. I am that. And speaking of, every time, whether we're out in nature or we're inspired by some talk like this one, or we see greatness or we recognize beauty in nature or somebody else, let's just stop in that moment and affirm, I am that. If I wasn't that, I couldn't see it out there. I couldn't see it in you. If I can see it, I am it. You can quote me on that, I think. And at the end of each day, let's acknowledge and appreciate some of the successes we had with this challenge, even if they seem like the teeniest baby little steps, even if they don't seem like a teeny weeny baby step. I thought about it. I had the awareness twice today that I am that, whatever it is. If we don't acknowledge our successes, it's really hard to get better at anything. All right? Challenge accepted? Okay. Let's spend this next week simply growing in our awareness of our own bigness, our own power, our own wholeness, our own enoughness. I think if you do this, you might be inspired to go for 2 weeks. Because as students of truth, I think we have a responsibility. But I also know we have the capability to live a life with less fear, so we can continue to create the kind of world that we want to live in. Well, the innate in me, the spirit in me, the wholeness in me, the light in me acknowledges, honors the light in you. Thank you for being here, those of you who gave up football and Celtic festivals. Hi, Mom. Thanks for being here.